to the Journey to Serie A. You know the drill by now, the podcast that follows us through the highs and lows of our new favourite teams. So it's another three-man pod this week. So I'm Glenn and I'm here with Cam.
Ciao.
And Hunter.
Hello.
How are we doing, boys? It's been a little while. It's been longer than we normally leave it, but are we well?
International break, man. Just
the shit out there.
Sucks the life right out of it. They're proper drown into it.
It's a proper struggle to get out of bed on a weekend. I think. But England v Ukraine.
Yeah.
In Ukraine, so it's not even like a nice stadium to look at. It's just shite.
Even England versus Scotland, man. It's not like you can't even tackle anymore.
I listened to Gary Lineker and Shearer and Mika Richards, and they were talking about like their experiences of the England-Scotland game, and I was like, it's nothing like that anymore.
Well, Mika Richards never really played.
No, he didn't.
His experience for about 10 minutes.
Say Shearer's like,
Shearer's
you know what I mean? Like when he used to go all out, but yeah, I didn't even watch it. Like I'm not even bothered by England anymore.
I watched bits of it, and it was kind of like Scotland were trying to make a bit of a fight of it, but they just weren't at England's level, and Bellingham was just miles ahead of everybody anyway. But I mean, England played 2 games over the international break, and I couldn't tell you the score either. I think they drew the first one. Did they draw in Ukraine?
Yes,
That's how 1-1 was.
1-1 and 3-1.
And Kyle Walker scored, didn't he, against
Ukraine?
Ukraine?
It was his first goal.
Aye. Shit.
I know we're off topic with England,
Aye.
but they keep going on about how Gareth Southgate's got the whole like country united and that. I hadn't like just people love going on the piss and it's an excuse to go on the piss. Back in the day it wasn't like that. People used to enjoy football. Now it's just England's playing.
I think
it's on the drink.
I think the tournaments, I know we're only just starting, but the tournaments he has brought the country together. Because the last few tournaments, it's been different than the previous 6 or 7.
I don't know whether that's down to him or whether it's just now, because of the Euros, we've now got a fighting chance and things.
Has any other England manager has sung about them?
Probably, but
Not really, not
I don't know what I find more boring. Gareth Southgate. Southgate interviews.
put your teeth in and try that one again.
Gareth Southgate's interviews are Dayne weird talking about Juventus.
Wow. He's not here for 1 week, and we're literally how many minutes in? 2 3/4 minutes, and we've fired shots at Dayne already. But yes, as you've noticed, Dayne's not here, so family commitments this week. So just the 3 of us. So on Dayne's behalf, given that Lazio played Juventus, I'll give Dayne's update. He sent it over, so I'll read it exactly as he sent it.
Pogba's fault.
They turned into grim sewers for a week. It's all Paul Pogba's fault.
So what?
So
What was that?
it's all Paul Pogba's fault.
Do your impression again?
No. It wasn't an impression, it was
That's
just
going to be clipped.
I'll get it
I
out.
thought it was a good impression.
It wasn't even an impression, I just thought it was like a weird grumpy old man kind of thing. Fuck off!
Hey, you've had 1 sip of this new Italian beer that we got from Asda.
Because he normally drinks cider.
That's true.
He's on the beer, then I'm a bit worried where this is going to go.
We're treating ourselves, so we're recording this on a Friday night, so having a little beer as we record it, so no doubt you'll hear Hunter smashing his bottle off the table a few times, so apologies in advance. But
Right,
format for this week. So we've got the updates from our clubs. So some of us that were involved in European games have 2 updates to give, some don't.
I watched yous. Good
Well,
night of football.
feel free to join in. And then we'll give a little bit of a preview about this week's fixtures for our own teams before we start into the kind of the main podcast itself. We'll talk a little about what's happened in Europe in general, but then this week's main reason for being here is favourite kits. So talking favourite legendary kits from back in the day, favourite kits from this season, which players we think stand out, or which players a certain kit makes you think of, all that sort of stuff. So once you've listened to it, we will put some stuff on the socials as well, so feel free to let us know your thoughts, what kits are best. Again, on Twitter as well, reply with pictures as well. Just feel free to let us know your thoughts. But first and foremost, who wants to go first with their update? Hunter, do you want to go first? Yours will be short.
Since mine's quick, yeah. We played Verona 0-0. That's it. It wasn't boring as it sounds. We kept the ball for long periods of time, but just nothing in attack at all. We had Xerxes and Doy and Carlson, the new kid on the left, and it was just so poor, man. So honestly, I was just telling you before with Keelan Ferguson, he did alright, but do you know when centre forwards drop deep just to get touches of the ball? Kane, he was Ferguson was playing the 10 and he just kept on coming deeper and deeper because we just weren't getting the ball that high up the pitch.
Yeah.
When we did, as we spoke about how frustrating the big man's going to be, Xerxes, exactly the same. Some nice touches, some nice things, and just couldn't hold the fucking ball up. So frustrating. But Motters just came out in an interview today and talking him up, saying he's doing really well and stuff. But I think he's got to say that because he's the main person we've got.
He's the only one, though.
I mean, Højdung scored in the friendly we had while he was up in Champions League. I know he scored the second goal in the friendly we had, but just 0-0. We didn't really create much. It was just shit. Like, we do what we normally do, keep the ball well. Was a big shout out to someone that slagged off during pre-season was Lukumi, the centre half. I said he couldn't pass a ball.
He was trying to say his name, but I said he couldn't pass a ball.
I couldn't say anyone's name.
Call yourself a fan.
I said he couldn't pass a ball, but in that game he was unbelievable. Defended well, looked really good on the ball. So I'm hoping he's going to kick-start this season. I even signed him on Football Manager the other day when I was playing just because he had a good game. So yeah.
I packed Van Hooydonk on FC24 today.
Yeah,
he's going on my team just for his name, really.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm playing in the 90s.
I think the only disappointing thing for me is you play in Verona, and I think if we got the 3 points, we would end up, I know it's early days, but 5 games played, we would end up probably about 7th in the table. So, but now obviously it's a 4 games in. Now obviously with a point it just still puts you off a little bit, especially when you're playing against teams that you should be beating.
Around. Next.
It's exciting, that one.
Shit. Try watching it.
I'll go for like the ball draw to Atlanta got beat. Honestly, it sounds cliche, but it was a game of two halves. We played well the first 25 minutes, and then the water break. For some reason, went out for the water break, we just didn't come back out. We went 1-0 through King Coop, and just honestly, I've never seen a team just not come out. Well, I have.
Did Fiorentina not have a drink of Michael Johnson?
Jack 3D,
That was good, that.
Is that still out?
No, they changed it. A few people died and stuff like.
We used to do 3 scoops of that.
That helped us escape the seagulls running to the gym in the morning. That used to put the afterburners on.
Speaking of afterburners, Lupton scored the other one. He started he's firing again. He got his first goal this season. Took him well, to be honest. Good goal, but
still playing up top.
Yeah, it was him up top. He's not. He can't hold the ball up.
Weird, isn't it? Weird.
But Scamacca got dropped for that game. I was foaming because before the game I was none of the big players had scored, Martinez, Giroud, Leao hadn't scored, Osimhen hadn't scored. So I was like, cheeky 3 goals and he'll be top of the goal scoring charts again. And didn't even play. He got injured as well. He's injured, so I don't know when he's back.
Injured and didn't play?
He got on.
That's a good effort getting injured sitting on the bench.
Struggling.
I'm sure that's happened to half of the Man United team.
I think I was foaming at that. But speaking of that little post, Scamacca, my best pal, he did look at the story.
And didn't interact with us.
No, he didn't interact.
So you're just acquaintances, you're not quite best mates yet.
That's
weird. Everybody work colleagues.
Because we're like Scamacca's level now. He's,
we're two
just started up. Yeah, we
was intimidated, but we're not Scamacca's though. We're on level.
That's very true.
We don't fuck with these mediocre players. We're just
Scamacca's going to win the top goal.
He's not.
He is. Got me bet. Anyway, enough of that game. We got beat. Shite. We played in Europe against Harchester. No idea.
Very good team there.
Apologies to that team. Yeah, pronunciation.
We'll go on Google. I guarantee that.
You should have said the initials.
One week we're going to do a podcast purely on pronunciation.
Yeah, we'll pick all the hardest words and just go for it and try and pronounce them.
Hip hop. That's horrible.
Well, anyway, Charles de Hogwarts, he got on the score sheet again. He's just looking class in. He is proper player.
Good all rounder, what I've seen.
Doing really well. I think he's bringing out the best of the players as well. Muriel started up front, bringing him back. He's 30 million years old. He did alright, to be fair.
He still looks the same,
looks-
doesn't he? Do you not think he still looks the same as he did 20 years ago?
But he looks fat.
He's always looked fat to me. He's
Ah,
always had
he's-
that shape. He's always looked like.
He's probably, do you know
Rounds the shape.
You know, like Diego Costa, he's like 40 years old since he was 3.
Looks about 28 when he's 14, didn't he? If you were playing him in the school team, like, not marking him. He's going to
He had a stud in his look.
I bet he had a shaving line on his eyebrow.
100%.
He's
Tattooed himself with like just a
nail.
a safety pin and the ink from a fountain pen.
And then Edison got the other one, it was class header. He came on, did really well. But comfortable 2-0 win. And then this weekend, you didn't do your preview.
Do it after.
Save the previews until.
Alright, sort of.
Good first result for you.
I put a little story on the social media, so if you don't like it, just don't tell us. Say it's class. But I put a little story on before the European game, and Atlanta viewed it. So basically, I'm getting free tickets next week.
I'm sponsored by King of Shaves. You need to start tagging them.
Who?
Bologna English has started liking my posts on Twitter as well.
Are there?
Wasn't nothing wrong with
Stop
it.
butting my teeth.
They put on there who's going to perform this week, and obviously I tagged them in it, and I still didn't respond. Fergie. I got a like and I got a couple of followers, like Bologna fan followers. Didn't follow them back, like, but not that. Not
You
that
did,
much.
Too big time to follow them back. Like.
Private message then. No.
Do you know there was those? Tell them I DM'd them.
We'll keep tagging one day.
I think it is quite cool that we're getting like interacting with
Like so loud.
supporters and the team, like.
And we've got people like, I've still got that other, like Guru of Atalanta that I've talked with. Like he, honestly, it's ridiculous. He's like the Fabrizio of Atalanta. He knows everything.
We'll get him on, man.
We're obviously like,
If we can figure out how to do it, like.
If we get a fifth mic on.
If he might travel over here to do it here because we're going to work it out on the computer.
We'll travel to him, man. That's for sure.
we'll pay a metro fare from the airport. You pay the flight.
Can we put his metro fare in Clutter? Things are hard. I've just bought that EAFC one.
We're clearly fooling people into thinking we know what we're talking about though, because people aren't coming back on. What the fuck are you on about?
I've got one of my mates in New Zealand. He keeps texting us about the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, it'll be class when we get over there." And I'm like, "But bets are shit." Like the closest bet was this weekend.
We'll talk about it.
But I was.
By the time we get over there, the sons will all be like friggin' 20-year-old as well. They'll be taking us. Dad, I know you've always wanted to do this, so I'm taking it for you.
You see one of the viral videos when they start crying.
You just walk up to Atlanta Stadium like that.
Skamaka.
Great.
He's been mature.
Skamaka drives the bus.
Oh,
Anyway,
So,
moving on to your
moving on. So the game of the weekend was always going to be Juventus Lazio. So I'm going to read out Dayne's update that he sent us word for word. Absolutely.
Milan derby?
No. Behave. In this room, that was the main game of the weekend.
yeah.
So Dayne's update, he sent us it through earlier. I'll read it word for word. Glenn, I'd like to apologise. I'd like to
Can you read
apologise.
his voice though?
No. You've already bored half the people to see the odd 0-0 update. I'd like to apologise because Lazio are by far the better team. They absolutely battered us from start to finish and Vlahovic got us out of the shit. So obviously Dayne didn't actually send us an update, I'm just lying. The game was fucking awful from a Lazio point of view. Like, the biggest thing you can say about Juventus is that two star players make such a difference.
Vlahovic is class.
Like, if you looked at Vlahovic's goals, the first one where I think it was Locatelli's played a low ball in and he's just swept that shot in the near post. It's an unbelievable finish, that and it's so quick you can't even get across to close him down or anything. And his second one where he smashed it from the edge of the box.
Can we talk about the defending for that second goal? Mate,
I'll get to that. So, I mean, the third goal was unreal, like, bending the far corner. But the second one was like, just...
It was literally 50-yard ball. He had 3 defenders. He's controlled it, and I just don't. I've never seen defending that bad.
Maricic was the man in front of him, and you just think, just go and close him down. Please just close him down.
Do you not think it was the ball though? And then like how he wasn't even challenged when he brought it down. It's insane how far that ball came.
Oh no, it's gone like across the box. It's kind of trickled. It wasn't even going at like pace, but it's got the. It was Kier that scored, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And he's hit it with his left foot, and I think the keeper was disappointed when in his near post, but that's such an easy one to block. You've got Maricic is like 4 or 5 yards away, so just get yourself in the way. Just literally go towards the ball, and he's got nothing to hit. He's going to have to smash it far post, and if it goes in, it goes in. It's one of those things. But they just gave him an age to shoot. I am going to take credit for Luis Alberto scoring bangers now though, because since I said he was shit and annoying, he's clearly out to prove us wrong. So Lazio fans, you're welcome.
If he finishes as top goal scorer, will he get a tattoo?
Fuck no.
We're not making them go bets on you.
Absolutely not. He still annoys the life out of us. He just scores some good goals. But his goal, in fairness to him, took it well. But the same problem, it's like, I'm not convinced Immobile is an out-and-out number 9. He hasn't got the build to be a number 9. If anything, he's a bit like a wide player that would cut in, and so he'd start kind of like wide left. Yeah, like he's not a number 9. I think is like a Vlahovic who can win the ball and hold the ball
as well. Just
like there's only I think there's only a handful of proper strikers now.
There's not many now.
If you think about it, like I would love the times where people had 2 up front, but there's no strikers.
But remember 80s, 90s?
Any wingers, they all think they're all 10s.
The centre forwards you used to have in the game, now, I count probably one hand, like that amount of people I think are actual centre forwards.
Yeah,
100%. But like,
or decent as well. Like.
It's a bit like, unless he gets a ball out of space, we don't really know how to play. So we don't play balls in down the channel for him to run through onto. Like, he doesn't really hold the ball up because we kind of go backwards and forwards or side to side all the edge of the box and then try and do little kind of sharp passes to get in and stuff. It just breaks down. Like, there's just nothing going forward. It's a right struggle.
You know who you need?
Ivan Provedel is who we fucking need. We'll move on to the European game. I'm sorry, but Atletico Madrid were fucking lucky to go in at half time ahead.
Yeah.
I
thought you played really well.
We were by far the better team.
Probably the best performance of the season so
far. 100%. I think I was worried. I thought we could get an absolute hiding.
Maybe the Napoli game, maybe.
But even then, I think that had an element of smash and grab. Although we did get a couple of chalk offs, so it could have been more convincing. But we were never really threatened. But this one, I thought it wasn't Atletico Madrid not threatening. I thought we played really well. We dominated possession in the first half, and then they literally against another player go up and score with a deflection. And then I know they hit the woodwork twice, but they were again deflected shots.
And Griezmann had his ice skates on when I messaged you about when he went through.
Griezmann kind of
that was horrific, wasn't it?
Through and fell over. Yeah. And I think I can't remember who it was the save was from, but Providel, when he came out and just smothered, like some kid was just about to volley from about 8 yards out, and he's just come out and threw himself. It was an unbelievable save, like one you'd expect to make, but if he's not proactive and doesn't go for it, that kid gets a shot off. Like if he stays on his line and tries to save the shot, it's a lot more difficult. But he didn't. His first thought was, I'm going to smother it.
You can't even see why he was in the team of the season, though, can't you?
100%. Like, there's little bits a bit shaky. He's a bit shaky with his feet at times, but he looks really solid. He doesn't look like a really dominant, loud keeper. But what he does well. But then at the other end, Oblak, that save.
He's class.
From
He seems like he's been around for ages now.
But he's...
I think it was the fullback. I think I forgot his name. Magny Rosic got a left back when the Pellegrini went off.
I don't remember.
I can't remember because they switched because Pellegrini went off injured. But he's got the ball off reset from a corner and he smashed it hard. No, it was going in the bottom corner and Oblak's got across and made an unreal save. But in the corner after that is when we kind of kept the ball alive. Providel's gone up and what a fucking header. I mean, the run, like the ball in was good. Like it was in the right area. But when you watch the replay, every one of the outfield players stops and watches it, except him. He's the only one that made a run. You can't tell me he was only crossing it for the keeper. He wasn't. He was putting it in an area, and the keeper's been the only one to thought, I'm getting my head on this.
How often does it do that though? When a keeper goes up,
it's like attracted to them,
and it goes to the keeper. And you think,
even if he misses or something, it always goes to the keeper.
It always goes to the keeper. When you think, hold on, you just hit about 6 other corners in this game. Everyone's got a play, got a far post.
Because the keepers get excited and make sure they got an end mix and
I agree with what you were saying there that ball in, when you watch the box, literally everybody, as you would imagine, standing still. The keepers ran from the top of the 18 and ran through and made a movement. Oh man, what a...
The only one that kind of thought, I know where the ball's going to roughly go.
He couldn't miss. Like it was an easy header, but at the same time it was his movement.
It was an easy header for an outfield player.
Yeah.
But for a keeper, just to get... Because if he absolutely tried to bullet it, it probably goes wide. Or he gets on it. But he's just ran, kind of glanced it. And then when I said before about him not being that loud keeper, he didn't even celebrate, he just kind of ran around like a bit lost and not knowing what to do.
You don't get
but
you're confident.
It was definitely the result that we deserved.
You're confident in getting out that group?
Aye. After that, they're going to be the hardest team that we play against, and I think the away leg or the away game will be
you've got
a lot more difficult at their place.
You've got one of the easiest groups, definitely.
We should
finish top 2.
Yeah.
Who?
Celtic and Feyenoord.
We should finish top 2 then.
I was watching bits of that for that Minter that's on loan at Feyenoord. So I watched 10-15 minutes of that game and
was it?
Just such poor standard, man. Like Feyenoord try and play Brighton style, pass out the back and it just literally Celtic kept on can't. It was a terrible game to watch, but
so after a bit of a horrible weekend, the midweek was much more enjoyable from an Italian team point of view. I'm not talking about the rest, but what's your thoughts on this weekend's game? So I suppose since I'm kind of giving up, I'll do the prediction. We've got Monza at home.
Top team then, mate.
I would like to think
top team.
We should beat them at home. I mean, we're a Monza in the league. They're above us, but to be fair, we started shite. So they're 13th on 4 points. Obviously, Atlanta, you guys beat them 3-0.
Yeah, but we're like the top side.
10th.
Top of the table. Top of the table. Go for you clown.
But you know what it is? I think the last minute or the last touch of the game, wasn't it? Providel's goal. That could be the turning point because I think everything's just been a little bit flat. But I would like to think we'll get a decent result, which will put us on the 6 points from.
Prediction?
I'm going to go 2-0.
Goal scorer?
I'm going to go Zaccagni and Immobile.
Ooh.
Zaccagni looked good in midweek.
Really?
He reminded us a little bit of Grealish before Grealish got a bit more of an end product. Like lots more his feet, kind of. And first part of City before he turned good after the World Cup. Lots of running, looked a threat, but it's just that final goal, final decision just isn't quite there. But
is he injured?
It was good. Mm-hmm. Grealish.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen him this season.
Right. Who's next?
We've got Cagliari.
Cagliari.
Cagliari. 2 o'clock on Sunday. So, very nice one to have. It was Sunday dinner. But I did 19th, got no wins.
Got to win.
Two
Come back out as well, and that.
They've drawn twice. They got beat off some clown team. Bollocks? What's the team called?
Bolognese. Spaghetti Bolognese.
He's beat them 2-1. I think we should beat them. I'm going to go with Skamaka's not playing. I'm going to go Charles de Hogwarts in May.
Again?
He's going to Lookman. I'm going to go for 3 as well. I'm not confident, not 3-0.
And you being good mood Sunday, and I'm forward to that.
Hogwarts, we'll Lookman, and we'll go with King Coop.
King Coop.
Just need to do a bet on Serie A this weekend.
And Levy's. All the teams are.
Who have you got this weekend?
I just want to give a quick mention to, before I go on to my prediction, to Lecce, who are now second top. I know that there's only been 2 games so far, but the second top and they're winning 1-0. What a surprise package, man.
Even Frosinone, we've got them going 20th.
I know.
And they're actually doing
loads of time, and obviously we're really good, given we're better in history, we're really good at predicting stuff. So
I've seen on like Twitter and stuff, like everyone's going, oh, this like the surprise of the season and stuff like that. And then people are coming and going, yeah, but they absolutely walked at Serie A last season. They're actually a really good team. But I'm only saying that because it beat us.
Yeah, so proper surprise at Lecce. And I was that Banda, the left winger that we thought was unreal. He's not even playing. That's why I looked at it just to see if he scored or.
Is he not? Is he injured?
But he's injured,
Is he not? Is that the one against you?
Left winger.
He's like.
So we've got Napoli at 5 at home at 5 o'clock on Sunday, and
what a way to ruin a near weekend.
do you know what it is? I've been toying with the idea of it's either a good or bad time to play them, because they aren't playing great.
No.
But at the same time, someone's due with absolute tanking from them.
It could be the
So it's one of those.
I really hope it is. Yeah.
If I'm honest, last season when I first started supporting on you, we actually did really well against the top, say 4 teams in the league. We didn't actually lose to any of them. So and we're at home. So I think I've got to go with them to win. Go with me heart, you know. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win, and I'm going to go with Xerxes and Lucchini as the 2 scorers.
You said that?
As the winner, big back post winner.
Bless.
But I don't know, it's going, like you say, it's going to be one of those. I think we'll either get tanked 5 now, and that'll be it, or we'll carry on from last season and give them a good game.
I feel sorry for Empoli, who are at home to Inter Milan, and Empoli are like -12 from 4 games. I think if you're looking for an away win on your accumulator, Inter might be the one to do.
Yeah, over 2 plus -2 goals, sorry, as well.
Yeah, I might have put Marcus Thuram in my Serie A team as well, just in time. Yeah,
I haven't changed
I
it.
just changed.
I had 3.
That's what I think.
I had 3 transfers as well. I'm like, whoa, get him in. Yeah.
I only had 1, but unfortunately I've got 2 of my players are injured. I had that Dayne from Salernitana, took him out because the other one was Skamaka, and I thought I'd leave him in. And I put Lukaku in because they've got a decent game this weekend because they could score.
He started in the.
But speaking of the fantasy, there's one person here in the bottom 3.
I haven't looked at my team since we started, man. I know it is, I know. I'm taking more notes of the Premier League one for something. I'm winning that one.
You know?
I am, man. There's money.
I'm only a point behind.
Oh, yeah. Is that what you're on now?
3 points, I think.
Either way, it's not about that, it's about Serie A.
Yeah,
that's true.
You're sure what?
You're not far ahead of it. I'm 4 bottom, like.
So you're 4 bottom and he's
I'm giving them loads of shit. I'm in the bottom 3. Hey, if I'm like 4th bottom, that's not really good.
Yeah, I'm comfortably like 20th or something like that.
You're 20th.
20 something.
29th.
No. Anyway, we'll move swiftly on. So, obviously the return of the Champions League and Europa League and Europa Conference League, if you're interested in that, started this week. Any standouts? Bellingham got on the score sheet again, and stoppage time winner. Real Madrid, like
he's doing well.
They didn't. Oh, he's doing brilliantly, but I watched most of the game and they didn't do a lot. Like,
Yeah, I know the one.
there was a lot of nothing. I really felt for Union Berlin because they defended really, really well, minimised any threat. Saying that, it's still a Real Madrid team with Joselu up front, so you've got to take with a pinch of salt. I know they've got fantastic players around them, but Real Madrid number 9, he is not, ever. But Bellingham was absolutely tearing it up. Barcelona looked good. They won 5-0, didn't they? For all the financial problems which seem to mysteriously go away all the time.
I think it was a good round of results for every team other than Italian teams. I thought there was a poor showing by most of them. I thought Milan looked, obviously we don't really want to talk about that game much because Newcastle were shit. I mean, they created chances, but they just...
Milan have been really disappointed.
They should have won.
I think Milan were really disappointed with the chances they had, Leao in particular.
Do you know what's pissing us off is everyone's going on about like putting loads of stuff about Pope, how many he saved in that match, etc. And we spoke about it the first like 15 minutes of the game, just how nervous he dropped. Instead of punching, he dropped things. Every shot was straight at him, and just because like I would have saved most of them, I'm not gonna lie, because they were literally straight at him. And everyone's like fucking pissing all over him, saying how good he was. And I'm like, well, he wasn't. This is the problem with people, like they get so hyped up about a player. He saved 8 shots out of 9 against them, but look at the saves, like do you know what I mean?
He's got to look at one that how many has he actually had to dive for?
I know.
And he hasn't. They've been like straight at him. Like Theo Hernandez should have scored. Should have scored his header. Leao has to put his foot through that when he's got himself in that position.
Possibly one of the worst things I've seen.
That's up there with Balotelli.
Yeah. Well, was that close? It was about 3 yards.
That's fucking horrific. Like if the senior players in the dressing room aren't tearing on you on at half time. I mean, 0-0, first Champions League game, you're at home and you've got a chance to go and take 3 points. You go ahead, and then literally as soon as you go ahead, it plays in your hands because you've got such pace on a break.
Suits the game as well.
Even the players that they brought on as well, the likes of Musa and Pulisic, are all really fucking quick. As soon as you get ahead, that's useful. Absolute driving seat. It suits everything about it. Suits the way you want to play down to T. And all he has to do is put his foot through it and be the hero. And he tries to be too fucking clever.
So I was a little bit disappointed then, to be fair. And then you've got obviously on the other side Inter drew 1-1 with Real Sociedad, which I think
it's a funny game, especially after battering Milan in the derby. You thought
how good at the start of the league.
But does that not maybe show that the overall quality of something? Like Union Berlin, for example, going to the Bernabeu and nearly coming away with a draw. Years gone by, you'd think they're getting out, without a doubt.
Early stages in the season, though, isn't it? So like people are still finding the rhythm. Give it to like November, December, and then you'll find out who's the proper team.
When I was telling you I was scrolling through all the games and I was watching bit parts, the 2 players that like I was going to mention tonight that stood out to me was, well, Mbappe, which everyone knows about, but he's fuck. I was laughing about him coming up against like Dan Burn and Trippier and that, but honestly, you should see what he did to that Dortmund team. Like, it was just, there were like 3-4 men around him because that's what they were doing to stop him, but it was just ineffective, like not doing nothing.
Then you think like they've got Mbappe on one wing, and then it's like, the other wing's out, and then they've got Dembele on the other side who's going to cause whoever.
Mbappe was playing wide and put 3 on him, so he just drifted inside and they didn't have a fucking clue what to do.
Good.
But and then we were talking in the group about Hernandez. That's probably the first time I've sat and like watched him properly, I think. Yeah, he might struggle defensively, but it doesn't matter. Like he is, how fast he is,
so
just good on the ball and the positions he takes up as a fullback.
Reminds me a bit like Marcello.
A little bit,
very attacking.
But you know what it is, I think his defending isn't too bad. Like he never got caught out of position, he was never swinging, he always got back, he gets forward, he contributes. I mean, sometimes he's popping up with like number 10 role, he's literally all over the place, but he's got quality on the ball as well.
I think he might be gone. I think somewhere he could be one of those big moves.
He's such a good player. I'd love to see him in the Premier League. I think he's brilliant.
He's nearly as good as regular.
So
just as good as you ain't got bad. But I honestly think, right, just to get this quickly out of the way, I think we're going to finish 3rd in that group.
I think we'll finish 3rd in our group.
I think we're going to win the Europa League.
Yeah.
Nah.
I will join us.
Speaking of the Europa League, so we probably had big things expected of Brighton.
Yeah.
Rabbit in headlights moment.
I think they're missing two. Well, they're missing Dunk, who I think is a massive player for them. He didn't play. Even though they still had what I think it was 70% possession throughout the game or something. But
was he rested or injured?
Dunk, he wasn't like on the list at all, so he must have just been injured.
I was expecting them to go and it'd be like a really raucous atmosphere. Like first home game in Europe, crowd will be up for it. Like a bit like when Leicester were in the Champions League and it was fucking bouncing.
The club they're playing probably wouldn't know too much about them sort of thing.
And it just wasn't. It just like sounded flat. Like just like they didn't quite get going. Maybe they've had their eyes open. I know the manager sent them out early from after half time, didn't he? Told the guy out there. I sent them out early, so I was too busy.
Oh, wow. I would have put them as favourites one of the favourites for our competition though, until obviously the big boys come down.
Before that, Liverpool were favourites and Brighton were second favourites. And you think of some of the teams that are in Europa League to have Brighton second favourites just shows how well they're doing.
Yeah.
They mustn't have odds on Atlanta, they must be certs. Laughing
That's a couple of other bits that have happened, like major story before we get into the fun stuff and the kits and things like that. Sancho versus Ten Hag, where do we stand? So Ten Hag's called him out. He dropped him for the Arsenal game, said his training performances weren't up to standard. Sancho's then come out and said, don't believe everything you hear, I'm being made a scapegoat, and it's not the first time. He's then deleted it and is now training away from the first team squad, apparently until he apologises.
Was it pinned tweet as well, wasn't it?
I don't know, even if it wasn't, it went everywhere anyway, so it was retweeted and it was on every sports site, so it made no difference. But
get rid.
Who's in the right, do you think?
Ten Hag. He's the manager.
Do you not think it sums up football these days? That type of thing happens like now.
Regular.
Aye.
Or like, you hear about it more anyway.
We'll stick on United. If Sancho was a player around the time of all your legends that we talk about, your Keanes, your Scholes, your Beckhams, it just wouldn't happen.
He's probably getting punched.
Wasn't allowed.
But that's what I mean. Like you would have just. I just think it's this. He's probably grown up in the world of football where he's just privileged all the time. He's always been on a good wage. He's never had to. I'm not saying he's never had to work for it, but he's never had to worry about anything.
Do you not think that's the problem though? Like they don't have the youth team thing where you're on a low contract or like you have to like clean the boots and stuff like that. Like Messi had to clean boots.
I was just going to say, I was listening to that, they said in that podcast, and Shearer said when he scored his first couple of goals for Blackburn.
Didn't he score a hat-trick for Southampton's debut?
Aye, hat-trick for Southampton's debut, and the next day he had to go and clean all the players' boots. I was like, that is like that when we grew up, that's what you remember of of your apprenticeships and all that. You had at clubs and.
So he's thinking it's a problem with Sancho's attitude, because I mean, my take on it was when Ten Hag said it. My interpretation wasn't necessarily saying he was calling out saying he was a shit, but he hasn't hit the standard that other players have. So other players have been picked. End of.
And he's got a big squad, so
that's what you would expect.
I suppose that's the way he wants it to be taken to the media, but wants Sancho to think I put your ideas up, and he's just I've just been benched because he's saying I'm shit.
I don't know. I think you've got to, looking at the whole history of the Sancho thing that you use, I think you've got to take Ten Hag's side because he's been there that long now, and he's had a few managers and
I think Ten Hag he sent him away last time when he did his mental health issues or whatever.
Yeah.
Give him time. He's took him out of the limelight. He's backed him. He's let him come on after games. He's started him in games.
He started in the Carabao Cup final, didn't he?
And he's never delivered.
No.
He has little glimpses where you think this is the Sancho that we want, and then 10 seconds later he's awful.
Yeah. I think there's a mixture of all kinds of mixture of everything.
It does. I think it doesn't help that he wants it seems like every fucker for United just wants to be on the left.
But he's had games on the left.
He has.
When Rashford's had to play through the middle, and
he's been shite.
He'll get the ball, he'll square the defender up, and then just pass it inside. It's
Yeah.
a bit like there's something just missing. Like, just go and do what you know you're good at.
You just
Like,
bought him
you're
off.
obviously a good player.
But he can't.
You
take
bought
it
him
up.
off the back of being good on the right though for Dortmund.
But since came out the season before that, it switched to the left. Like the season before he signed for United, it switched to the left. He had like more joy on that side. But you just think, if United bought you for the right, you'd think, right, I'm going to absolutely dominate this right hand side. I'll make it my own.
Yeah.
Well, he just fucking play.
I think Ten Hag's
You're
right.
right-footed.
I think
Deliver the ball.
I think Ten Hag's right, but it should never get out in the media. It should be dealt with by.
Well, I don't think he did put that in the media 10 out.
He said that he was not picked for the
Yeah.
Arsenal squad because
He
he
hadn't-
in training, and every day you have to hit the required standard. And he's right. He's not saying he's shit. He's,
Yeah.
No, but I'm not
Shearer
saying
said in there.
Ten Hag called him out though.
Shearer said in their podcast that if a manager is that, it's like very much last resort. Like
Yeah.
he's tried everything else, and
Yeah.
when you look back, you probably think, he has. Like he's put him on that, sent him away, took him out the line. Like, go and get yourself sorted. Whatever's going on, there's probably things we don't know. I don't buy this whole Sancho's been made a scapegoat because he hasn't.
No.
And if anything, there's been other United players that have really taken the heat, the likes of Martial, Harry Maguire. Like, if anyone can say they've been made a scapegoat for a club underperformance, it's Harry Maguire.
It'll be a.
Jadon Sancho has absolutely no right to come out and say, I've been made a scapegoat when he's in the same dressing room as Harry Maguire.
You'll be alone with an obligation to buy. Kind of somewhere, or it's January.
Ben Foster was right when he said, like, if that happens when Fergie's there, he's out. No,
Yeah.
it isn't
Doesn't
again.
matter how much he's bought him for.
I don't want to like.
But I like that Ten Hag's been tough, and he's like, you won't play until you apologise, and
Hopefully
so he's not the squad.
Hopefully 6 to it.
Just quickly as well, Paul Pogba, the gift that keeps on giving, so had abnormal results in his drug test, if that's what you want to call it.
Good. What a pleb, man.
What's wrong?
To put it politely, like.
I mean, yeah, get
Just
on
we don't want to assume he's guilty,
I do.
but
I'll assume it.
if we say he has, why is if it turns out why is he going to
Because he needs them.
You know,
He's shit.
No, I think it's the injuries. He wants to come. I think he wants to get back on the pitch.
he wants to recover quicker.
Yeah.
See,
That's the only wild.
I thought that, but I also thought as well, is it just a sign of desperation because he isn't the player that he used to be? Like the Juventus fans, a lot of them have said we should never have brought him back.
No.
And he must, so is it now like, I need to do something to get myself back to the level that maybe he thought he was at.
Okay. I thought maybe you're like saying that as in like, I'm going to do something to get myself out of football.
No, I mean, he's doing that himself, he's not in football.
Isn't it mad that someone of his stature, though, with the people that he'll have around him, that can still happen? He can still go and do and take. If he has, take
But
something.
surely anything that you're taking from medical staff,
Eh,
it's got to be cleared.
of course. How does
I
something like that
never
get through
understand
the
that.
net?
And
I
I
don't
go, it
understand.
was from a cold and flu thing. Well, you've got the best doctors and physios and all that sort of stuff in the world.
You're
From
not
a small
going to
point
your
of view,
pharmacy like
they
this.
will be shit hot on everything you take. Everything
That's
they
got
give
to
you.
be.
They don't go to an old fucking GP.
No.
They've got a call.
It's
So
got
there's a club doctor and they're like, I can this.
That's got to be him in the house, hasn't it? Now, when that's come out, the club's probably thought, what the fuck, like, we don't know nothing about this, like, what's going on, sort of thing.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Speak me, Juventus.
Well, I don't know, we wait for Dayne for this one, but obviously Juventus are getting sued by absolutely everyone. Bonucci, club legend, claims he was forced out.
Not anymore.
Ronaldo suing for, I think it's about 17 million or something like that, claims he was owed for COVID. So the financial issues and all the stuff going on behind the scenes just seems to be getting worse, but I suppose we'll get an insider's view when Dayne comes back next week.
If you put all that in a little bubble, and then if, say, Vlahovic or Chiesa gets injured, Juventus are fucked, like.
Do you know what reminds
Do you
me
when you watch them? Like, that,
Carried by them.
if one of them
Carried
gets
by them.
injured, they're screwed, got no money.
Do you know what reminds us of? Harchester United.
Yeah,
No,
it's
dream
constant
team.
drama.
Yeah, like constant
Oh
drama.
God.
Harchester United.
Guarantee Vlahovic has got a hold of the woman physio.
It's a bit like
Back by the
Or meal.
He's Superman haircut.
Yeah.
It's good that.
It's a bit like United are all over the back page for the wrong reasons, and Juventus are like, we can do that.
Hold back.
Right, let's move on. That update took a hell of a lot longer than we anticipated. So, favourite kits. There's been some absolutely legendary ones.
We're going for historic ones.
We'll go blasts from the past, yeah. So,
we're saying as well that we're always going like Premier League era because that's when we've been alive.
yeah. None of the ones from like I had a look at
The 80s,
like
no.
classic ones from the 80s, like when Van Basten played, early 90s and stuff. It was a bit before my time, but I'm going to throw it out there and start off with the AC Milan third shirt from 1995. So it's
Are you going to put these on social?
Yeah. So made by Lotto, the iconic sponsor of Opel on the front, and it was like different shades of blue with like vertical lines down the bottom half, diamonds across. It was an absolute shit show of a shirt, but I had it when I was a kid and I fucking loved it. It's the only football shirt I had that was from an Italian team, and I loved it because you just couldn't get them in this country.
Yeah.
First time I've seen it.
It's nice.
It was unreal. I remember it came with a little badge that you had to stitch on, which was like a shield shape. It was the Italian flag. So I remember having to try and find out where the fuck that went.
Yeah, what?
Remix!
Did I get a free
Try
bag
that
of-
one again, pal.
Do they do that anymore though? They don't do that. They
I
don't.
don't think so.
I haven't seen it on this season.
Did you get a free bag of Opel fruits with that as well? No?
Nah, Opel's Vauxhall, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
It's
I
Vauxhall.
was thinking it was fruits.
Opel
Like
Fruits.
jellies.
Is it A? That's what I mean. I've got one of the first ones I've got is actually a bit of a surprise one, I reckon. Palermo from 2006-2007.
It's got to be a pink one.
Pink one,
Aye.
but it has like
That'd be one of his, yeah.
a bit like with the black little diagonal things coming up towards the
Right in
middle.
the corner, yeah.
And I just like it is a good kit. Like,
Wasn't that when Kyle Lafferty played for Palermo?
oh, I don't know.
I'm sure.
I thought it was
That was a proper random one. We left Scottish football to go there. Like,
Macaulay. That's the only remember from Palermo around that time. I'm sure he was there. But if he's not, just leave it alone.
I'm going to just chuck the one that we spoke about, to be fair, is the Fiorentina 1989.
Oh, hey.
And,
Stole from everybody's list.
Oh, hey.
well,
that
we've
one.
all got it, so we may as well tackle it.
That one with Nintendo.
Put me voice on. 98, 99, Fiorentina, Nintendo. I mean, just the fact they had Nintendo on the front alone, never mind the kit, how good the kit looked.
Who does that kit make you think of?
Last year.
Was it
Rui Costa.
Rui Costa as well? The one,
They're the two, aren't they? Like,
Oh, man, Battistuta, what a player.
unbelievable. I'd love to have seen him in
If you think of
What a player.
Fiorentina, the only player you think of is Battistuta.
And it's only ever in a purple top, never the white one.
No.
Not after the white one. It's always in that purple top. Then I had like Rui Costa as well. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So good.
Even the fact that it was Fila as well that made it.
Speaking of Rui Costa, do you know that one of my favourite photos of like the Serie A is him and Materazzi. You know, and they just got all around each other and there's all them flares and the crowd and stuff. And the background, absolutely unreal photo. You never seen it?
He post it on the socials.
He's in the kit, he's in the Milan kit.
Class. I love that. Another one I thought of was the Juventus home shirt from 97-98 with Sony mini disc on the front. And I'll never forget that kit because it was the season we went to see Man United play Juventus in the Champions League. And it was when Juve had a fucking banger team like Del Piero, Zidane, Davids, Nedved,
I watched it a few weeks ago on YouTube.
Ferrara.
Terrible game.
Oh, it was horrendous. We lost to a penalty that Nicky Butt gave away.
Yeah.
But that kit is just that it just represents when Juventus were like a shit. Like if you drew them, you were like.
Do you feel a bit bad for kids now?
Yeah.
Like, you know how we get to talk about players like that, and that we were like obviously just growing up and getting to see that type of football, that type of player. Now when kids grow up, it's not.
But
I mean, there's no like legends of the game now, though, is there? Like,
I
no one
think
feels
that feels the same way though.
No, because I think that era of football, I think the era of football now, like we were saying, I don't think you can say like, oh, is he going to be like a legend? Is he going to be remembered forever, sort of thing? Like some of the
I
players.
think Rashford, he could break records and stuff like that.
But young kids.
But honestly, he would never be anywhere near a United 11, like an all-time 11. No, he wouldn't even make like a T-boy.
I think the all-time 11 thing's a really good shout, because the players from the very start of the Premier League era, and that's when really the standard really ramped up, and I think there was a big shift in just how players acted and stuff like that. You know, players from that era that would get in that club's all-time 11 speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's just because the people are our age that are picking the 11s, but I think as a whole, the standard was much better. There was so many world-class players, whereas now these world-class players, they're probably not.
And he could tackle.
I was about to say, Andy got kicked and got up.
It was a lot tougher. There was none of this kind of very little play act, and there was a few. It was kind of new when the foreign players had come over the Premier League.
I think it was one of the best parts of the game. The physicality of football was one of the best parts of the game to watch.
At least when they went down, that actually got kicked. Like now, they hardly get kicked.
I spoke to my dad about the Milan Newcastle game after it. I was like, I need to vent to somebody, so I gave my dad a ring. And I said the same. He said the same as me. Like it's hard to watch football now. Like I find it really hard to, like sometimes I'm like, what's the point? Shut up! Like why am I watching? I just get pissed off because everyone's doing stuff that I hate. Like falling over. Just, do you know what I mean? There's nothing in the game that there's nothing much in the game that I like anymore.
You can't get excited about it. Like even VAR just
ruins football.
You think, it's a goal, but if it's a goal conceded, they'll find something, they'll get turned over.
You can't celebrate the goal either.
It's just a bit shite, like, and how inconsistent it is and all that. But I suppose that's all a podcast we could do in itself.
My next one, Parma from 99-2000, the yellow and blue one.
Nice.
The
seen that one.
It's just much fun.
They always had good
Crespo, Cannavaro, Thuram. Always reminds me of Crespo. He's one of my favourite strikers. He's a proper striker.
Parma always had really good kits, like probably not ones you'd actually wear because they're a bit bright and garish. But as a kid, they're just class.
Wild, aren't they?
And there's another one as well. I've just thought now. I don't have the picture, but Sampdoria home tops.
The blue with the red and white
and the ERG sponsor, I think.
Vialli.
And Christian Carambo, remember him?
Yes.
It just reminds me of him.
Didn't he play for like Real Madrid and then Borough?
I think so, And then Borough throwing money at everybody. But they always have, the strips are always kind of the same, but they're always just smart.
I want to make your day here. I've got the United one, I've got the 94-95 one, and the sharp one.
Oh, is that the one with had the picture of the stadium in the material?
I don't think it did actually.
I did, the badge and the shield.
Did they play in Serie A?
He's got a roll,
that was my first kit.
Was it?
Yeah, first kit.
Main one, just old school Umbro, and obviously the whole Eric Cantona had a collar to put it.
I remember walking into first house I remember as a kid, and on the sofa was Cantona 7, Kanchelskis 14, mine England.
Class.
You look back now and you just think, I bet I was gutted that I picked Kanchelskis when it was about a pound of fucking letter.
What was that? £3 a number and then a pound a letter or something?
Kanchelskis 14. Couldn't have picked a more expensive name to get on himself. And there's like a small man's top to try and get all of those letters and numbers on.
I bet you only got one chicken dinosaur that night.
I remember a few years later getting I wanted Solskjaer, but obviously 20, and then Solskjaer would cost a fortune. So I got 20 and 5. Not the only day.
Any more classics?
Yeah, I've got Juventus as well. I went the 95-96 away one, blue one. The one that won the Champions League.
The yellow stars on the
shoulders.
Yeah, that's another Sony one, isn't it?
It reminds me of Ravanelli. Just him, Vialli and stuff like that. Just a really nice kit. Juventus always tend to do really nice
Until
shifts,
this
to be
year.
fair.
Yeah,
Apart from this year.
they've proven that wrong.
But if you look back, like I love the one where the back's cut out. It's just got a circular black part for the number.
Yeah.
That was really smart as well. I always went with Del Piero.
Can we just say how much better the strips look in the Champions League, by the way? With the block out on the back.
That's only Newcastle.
I just look fucking
It did look better though.
It did look smart.
better.
I think
Oh,
that's probably
awesome,
one
man.
thing where if you have a striped shirt, it's really hard to get a letter
Why can't they block it out on the back though?
that makes
the
it
normal one. I
stand
don't
out.
understand.
In Milan, them sort of teams, they get away except the white, don't they?
Yeah.
But obviously, usually went red, which kind of.
It just looked
The other one I've got is the Inter Milan. I've got both of them. They're just purely for Ronaldo, really. But you can list off Zamorano and stuff like that.
to be fair.
The 98 home and away ones, you know, the grey one.
Yeah.
Lush. Pirelli.
All of them with, I mean, that's it. It's these classic sponsors that you still associate with clubs. You've got United Sharp, Milan Opel, like Ajax, that Arbon Amro,
Yeah.
always vertical down the side, Inter Milan,
Fiorentina,
Pirelli.
Nintendo.
Fiorentina, Nintendo. And it was, I mean, I don't know much about Arbon Amro, but they were always like brands that you knew and recognised and had a certain kind of stature. Whereas now it's like, if you just pay money, you can have your look. Like, if we had enough money, we could probably just pay and have our face on someone's shirt, because
Do you not think as well,
with enough money, it's ridiculous.
one of the worst things about kits these days is to come out every single season.
Yeah.
So when I look back at United's, like say for
It's
instance,
always every
45,
2 seasons, wasn't
it
it?
was 2 seasons, so you kind of associate like, well, I know it's only 2 years, but the kind of era with that strip, so you can remember games from that. If I look back and I go, oh, like you give me a kit for United and it was like 2014, I'm like, haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell
I
you.
could tell you every kit up until it was
Yeah.
every season,
The 2
like,
seasons
until it
thing
turned
was-
to just the every season.
Yeah.
Definitely go back.
They've gone every season, and then they've pretty much doubled in price,
Yeah.
and a lot of them aren't even that nice.
No. Nah.
Like some of the ones from the 90s, 2000s were unreal. That's why I think there's probably such a clamour now for retro jerseys, because they look so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, if
Same
they
as-
went back to every 2 years, it would make them. But they could release one every year, because they did that last time. But it was, they do a home one for 2 years, and they do a away one for 2 years, and it would kind of overlap. So they released one every season.
But
But at
speak
least
to
you had the option.
yeah, but then speak to the commercial director of that club that's now having to go and work with half the revenue from the
Yeah.
kits. Like, it's all
I
money.
get it, it's money, but it's just,
It's shit.
it's shit.
Aye.
That's the shit thing about
Do you have another one there?
There was just Newcastle saying about the 2-year thing with the brown ale, like that's what sticks out because you had Ward for
That's
a long time. do you know
another
what I
one.
mean?
It's an iconic
Yeah.
sponsor. Like, it's the only
Yeah.
sponsor. But if you think of brown ale, people think, right, I can see the label.
And everybody liked the drink.
Remember that shirt?
Or two, who do you think of?
Arsenal.
Yeah, it's like this.
I'm quite well on strips though, even with this
Cruise,
season.
Chelsea.
With this season, I know I'm not in Italy, but I've got quite a little bit of respect, even though they don't need the money, for likes of Chelsea and Forest that haven't got a sponsor on, because their kits look mint.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Lazio.
the kind of the current ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So all 3 Lazio ones, there's very little
Yeah,
brand
so
on. They've
nice
got a
one.
sleeve sponsor on the player versions. That's it.
Yeah.
So nice.
And it makes such a difference.
Yeah, agree.
Especially with the state of some of the companies that people have on now, like TeamViewer, who else? Seller, like.
But
Just
just
say
not,
where you
yeah,
are.
not, yeah, exactly. Nah.
And then some of them like actually ruin the kit as well. Like the
188 and those ones
the
on
last
Newcastle
Newcastle
were
ones.
horrendous.
It was like
Absolutely brutal.
they could have easily changed it to like match the kit or something like that. But no.
Lazio's up there with my favourite kits this season, like, I think they're lush.
It's still a lot of it. I mean, a lot of the success is dictated by the stature of the sponsor that you have on the front of your shirt. Like the ones that have Emirates on the front, they don't bother us because Emirates have a classy looking logo.
Yeah.
they're a premium brand, and they're on jerseys of clubs that are kind of seen as premium clubs, the likes of Arsenal, Real Madrid. No problem with that. It's when you get all these random ones and betting companies and
they've got like 3 or 4 different sponsors.
Yeah, and then like when Everton had Angry Birds as their sleeve sponsor, you're Everton.
That ruins the Newcastle one, the big yellow patch.
You're one of the oldest clubs in football, and you're being sponsored by a mobile phone game. Yeah. It just looks shite.
But anyway, speaking of nice kits in Serie A this season,
all 3 of Lazio's.
All 3 Lazio's. I've got Bologna written down, the home one.
Unbelievable.
You're winning it now, Hunter, but honestly I think it's really smart, like the little badges in the background. I haven't got a fucking clue who it's for, but it looks nice.
It goes in with the shirt.
It looks nice.
It's not over.
Yeah, and even like the sleeve thing, like it's not massive. No. Do you know what I mean?
But it fits all the colour scheme as well, because everything's like, it's obviously blue, red, white trim, and the sponsors are in white. Like it fits.
I've got Roma. I mean,
as much as I don't like
how
Roma,
often
I don't think
could you pick out seeing a bad kit from Roma?
Just because they're basic, they're really simple, and that's like Lazio's very keep it the good colours, keep it simple.
Yeah. I love the Roma's home one this season. It's just got
really smart.
The lion's head thing. There's no crest, just the fox of the lion. There's a fox, I don't know what it is. Whatever fucking animal it is. Either way, just the simplicity of it all just looks really, really smart.
And I've got I put down Atlanta just because
the way. I like your way.
I like both of them.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
I like the white one. Clear.
Yeah. And then Fiorentina, the home one.
Yeah. Again, very really.
But even but even the away one, it's weird. Like it's white and it's got that flowery pattern, purple across the middle. It's weird, but you can see why it's nice. Yeah. And then the Napoli third one, although they've got shitloads of sponsors, the black one, it's quite nice. So don't do it.
So a lot.
Don't do it.
I'm not picking this up by any stretch. Loads gets mentioned about Venezia's kits and how strange and how weird. And some of the last season's ones, like the last 2 or 3 years, have been really smart. I think it was that black and gold one. But I've just had a look at this season's home shirt, and it's horrendous. So it's just plain black with gold around the neck, gold around the sleeves, and then it's got a red and green stripe right down the middle that looks like a zip.
I was about to say, it looks like it's got buttons in there somewhere.
It looks like the long sleeve version looks like it's a tracksuit top.
It does. It looks like, do you know, what's it called? Do you know the sportsman's jackets that the Yanks wear?
But Bologna walk out with one of them on. Like when they walk out with the coats on the tops, we walk out with one of them. Like
look at some of these. I mean, look at the third strip. So the third strip's black and white hoops with a red collar. It looks like a prison. Reminds me of prison. Not that I've been to prison, but like you know, you see films, all the convicts are in like the
Mean machine.
Yeah, it's that. But loads gets like mentioned with Venezia's kits and stuff being really, really nice, but
no, not a fan.
They're a bit weird. Like they're very.
They're shit.
Aye. So, any more?
Aye.
What's
your favourite? Tell us what's your favourite.
What? Any more Serie A or just kits in general?
Just in general, before we want to play of the week.
What's one of your favourite kits of all time? Anyway. Could be international, could be thing, and I'll just call you off guard.
Ooh, I always liked the Real Madrid white one when.
Oh well, that's a. Now is it down?
When Beckham first signed.
Oh, yeah, the black and gold number.
Yeah, that was really
the black one was nice that season as well.
And that
black and white numbers.
Premium brand on front, Siemens, wasn't it? Siemens Mobile. They were obviously big at the time, they're not now, but it makes such a difference.
My favourite's not a club one, to be fair, is the Brazil
1998 World Cup one.
Surely.
What I've got.
With the like really playing with the green like V-neck.
No, I know about the V-neck, but
it's like really
the France 98.
Is that the Brazil badges?
No, it's just plain. It's like proper old school as well. It might be the one you've got, but anyway.
Is Ronaldo what?
Ronaldo.
That's 98. That's what I've got.
So nice, man.
Unreal. The France one from that year as well was good.
With the red and the white
Yeah.
stripe things. Yeah.
Really smart. But right, so we'll put some pictures of some of them on socials. So if you're listening, feel free to follow along, and you'll see the kits that we're describing. And again, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, chip in with some pictures of your favourite kits, or you in them, like wherever you like, and we'll happily reply to all the ones we get.
If you're sending a picture and wearing the kit, make sure you've got some pants on. Not just the kit top. Cameron.
Let's a few Ferguson.
I just had a few off camera, that's all.
How does your mind work? That was your thought.
You escalate it quickly there.
If people have a football top on, they won't be wearing pants.
How do you walk around the house like?
Pants?
Or shorts, eh?
Weirdo.
Right, boys. So it's that time again.
So do I get to play? Because I've missed 2 weeks of this.
Yes, you get to play. So it's currently 3-2-1. So Cam's on 3, Hunter's on 2, Dayne's on 1. Dayne's not here, so he's gonna still be last. Right. So
I'm gonna guess for Dayne, Kaka.
You said it every week, hadn't you?
alright. So this player started his senior career in 1996. So he played for Newell's Old Boys between 96 and 97. Played 42 times and scored no goals. He then moved on to Boca Juniors, where he played between 97 and 2000 and played 77 times, scored 4 goals. It was in the year 2000 he moved on to Serie A, got a move to Roma, so he played at Roma between 2000 and 2004, made 122 appearances and scored 9. He then moved for a season to Real Madrid, so he played 04-05 at Real Madrid, played 30 times and scored 2. Then he came back to Serie A, where he made 169 appearances for Inter, played between 2005 and 2014. So in those 169 games, he scored 14. And he finished his senior career at Basel between 2014 and 2016, where he played 29 times and scored 2. So his total in senior football was 469 appearances, 31 goals.
I feel like I should know this.
And so do I, like...
Roma from 2000, 2004, 2004, 2005, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And the rest of his career in Milan.
Inter for 9 years. I can give you his international stats if that helps.
Is he still playing?
No.
No.
Finished his career in 2016.
Right, hold on.
Oh, like retired 2016.
I'll be a defender or holding midfielder. Hold on.
Ooh, I told you this before, it was a good one. I'm buzzing this one, I found it. I did tell you that I didn't think it might be too hard, but then I thought, nah, fuck it.
That's what it is.
Oh, wait, let's go in. Do you want the international or are you going to take a guess?
Do you want international?
Yeah, go on then.
Alright, so he played for Argentina between 1999 and 2010. Got 56 caps and scored 5.
Argentina.
Oh, no.
Oh.
It's not Walter Samuel, is it?
It is Walter Samuel.
Is it?
That's an unreal one. Walter Samuel, yeah. Well done.
He wasn't on my mind at all.
Yeah, I'm class at this, man.
I
don't know where I got that from.
Yeah, that was
but it's just, I don't know why I get kind of because I knew that was the one that he did.
We've had him
last
as
week,
well, yeah.
and it was the one that
I was thinking right backs for some
he played for
reason.
Leicester, but it was just when he said the Roma, and I was like, and the Real Madrid, it was the Real Madrid thing that threw us. I didn't know if we played for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only a year.
Well, that's
And I've just got the image. Do you know what I've got the image of? It's the back of his shirt.
He was a hard man as well.
Yeah, really good.
You wouldn't mess with him, would you? Do you know if you walked past them and like
proper
on a dark night, I would cross the road.
You just crossed the road from a granny, you man.
Some of them are filthy.
Especially if you just wear a jersey and no one else. Dirty bastard.
on that note, we'll leave it there for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Obviously, all the previous episodes are on Apple, on Spotify, and we're on X and Instagram as well in terms of socials. Feel free to get involved. Let us know your thoughts. Leave a cheeky review or a cheeky follow if you can as well.
5 stars, please.
That's the only review we like.
Yeah.
Just the 5. But until next time, thank you very much.
Arrivederci.
See ya.
What do you think you do? Why you look so sad? It's not so bad. It's a nicer place. Ah, shut up, you face.